Okay, you're going to be starting your puzzle cube selection process that eventually you'll use your wooden pieces to make a puzzle cube. And so we've got to select out blocks. The blocks that we want to use need to be fairly uniform in size. You don't want to get a bunch of blocks that vary in size because it's going to make it hard to make a good puzzle. So we're going to have to measure all these, but first what I want to point out, I've got 3 blocks laid out, and one of them is positioned so that the camera can see the end grain of the wood. Now, if you've never really thought of wood grain, end grain is the grain, or what you would see if you made a cut across the grain of the tree. Think of a tree growing up. Okay, if you were to take boards, long boards out of a tree, they're going to be lengthwise. You know, they're going to be the length along, the height of the tree. So if you cut across the tree, like cutting a tree in half, okay, to cut it down, peeling, opening it up, you're going to see the growth rings, and that's the end grain. Now, obviously, boards get cut down, and so we can't see the whole ring, but just part of it. So one of these says end grain. Do you know which one? Okay. So out of these 3, this one here shows the end grain. Okay. I can see basically these are parts of what would be the growth ring circles. It's actually a little rougher to touch as well, if you feel it, because the fibers in the tree were growing up, and so as you cut across them, you basically leave little open cells, and it just makes it a little bit rougher. It's usually harder to sand end grain and to get it nice and smooth. So, the surface or the side of your wood or boards that you would use to face up for a tabletop would generally not be the end grain. These 2 are not end grain. If I rotate them, the end grain is pointing towards me, away from me. So these other surfaces are not end grain. I can see lines because where these end grain cuts off, it was a ring that was growing up, so there are going to be lines that coincide with that. But notice that looks more like part of a ring, like seeing all these little lines that are parallel. These are the rings. Okay, if I flip this one up so you can see the top, notice how that looks similar. And then this one as well, you can rotate it. That's not end grained. Okay, that would be a nice smooth surface to sand. If I rotate it this way, you can see the end grain. So hopefully you can see the similarities. You can almost see more openings and little pits. So that's because the strains, the fibers were growing this way, and you're basically cutting them in a way that you could leave little tiny openings. So the reason why we're going to have you do that is because with a pencil only, we're going to have you number the end grain, 1 to 27. So you're going to pick out 27 blocks. And I'm, of course, not going to sit here and do that. We're going to use pencil so that you could go back and erase it later. But once you've got that labeled and you can read the number and kind of tell which face is towards the bottom and which face is towards the side of your value, it's going to be easier to call one dimension your width, one dimension your height. So I'm going to call this my width, which the width you can see in both the front view and top view. I'll call this the front and this the top. So there's width. Height's going to be here. And then depth. If I turn to the right, I've got depth. Okay, so there's like a little isometric view for you. So the front side here, I'm going to measure the width, and I can also measure the height, and then front to back, I'm going to get the depth. And how you're going to do that is you're going to use your dial calipers. So you're going to go through and take 3 measurements. Right? That would be my width. This would be my height. And going this way here, across my depth. Okay. We're going to do this, and you can go to the next video. It's going to show you after you begin taking these measurements how we're going to record and organize this data and how we're going to use it.